I haven't run this thing for about 2 months. Let's see how she starts. One pull. Over the last couple of days, I came and down here and split maybe an hour one day, an hour and a half the next, but it worked out to 6 hours total. I probably got about 3.5 full cords. I don't know. I will know once I stack it. That's another thing. I never just leave my wood in a pile like this. It's never going to dry right, and so that's why I stack it. There are hundreds of ways, probably thousands of different methods to split firewood. Everything's about speed and efficiency, but you also need to consider how much wood you really need to produce in a year. I mean, you can split wood with an axe or a maul like this the whole way up to a $100,000 firewood processor. And if you're just an occasional wood burner, you're not going to buy one of those processors. But if you do 5 or 6 cords a year, you got to meet somewhere in the middle, probably a log splitter like this, or one like it. This is on the lower end of the log splitters. I've had this Huskee for 5 years now, and not one bit of problem with it at all. It's got a 190cc Briggs engine on it. Change the oil in it every year, change the spark plug a couple times, but it works great. I know a lot of guys run those bigger ones, 35-ton ones, some with the big, multiple wedges. This serves my needs very well. And usually I'm the guy who's like, bigger, better, stronger, buy the biggest tractor you can afford. But for a log splitter, it only serves one purpose, and that is to split wood. You get one too big, you got to hook it up to something and move it around. This one you can, you know, lift up on the tongue and roll it around if you need to. But all in all, this has been a great splitter. And you know, if you were doing maybe 12 or 15 cords a year, I'd probably do something else. Most I do is about 10. I'm kind of maxing this thing out. Like I said, 5 years now, it runs great. I'd concentrate more on cycle time than power. The real big gnarly logs and things like that, I don't even mess with that stuff. I'm fortunate enough, I've got plenty of woods, blowdowns, dead trees. I've always got firewood. So if it's some big nasty looking thing, there's no sense me messing with it. But this is it. Huskee 22 ton. I see a lot of guys run these things standing straight up, vertical. The only time I ever do that is if I have some huge rounds that I can't lift, you know, without killing myself. And even when I do that, I usually just split them to like some manageable size before I then flip it down to horizontal. I don't know how they do it. Sit on a bucket or a log all day. It's like working under a sink all day long or something. Something else I typically do, when I'm splitting, I usually split the cherry, leave it a little bit bigger, and the oak a little bit smaller. The reason I do this is the oak takes longer to dry, and the smaller it is, the quicker it'll dry. This is how I stack all my firewood. I always stack it in a single row. You get airflow to all sides, and I think it does a better job. It's one of the problems a lot of people face is they don't realize it, but they don't let their wood dry long enough. Everyone says, oh, you need a year to dry your firewood. That's a good rule of thumb, I guess, but there's so many variables, like what type of wood, how you have it stacked, where you have it stacked. Like this is cherry here. I cut this stuff last summer, and this is split kind of small, but this cherry is really ready to go after about 5 months. Now, if you had red oak or white oak or something like that, you need a good year for sure on it. You may notice in this video, I got several gas cans laying around. I want to explain something. You need a good gas can for your log splitter. This is a VP racing jug. These are great gas cans. They've got a vent on them. You know, pretty simple, right? They pour gas. Wonderful gas can. Next, got Old Faithful here. The old metal gas can, metal safety can. Also a great gas can. The only thing you got to watch with these, if you leave them sitting around, the funnel here, you can sometimes get some dirt, snow, rain, whatever. So make sure that funnel's cleaned out if you're leaving it lay around outside so you don't get water or contaminants in your fuel tank. Lastly, got one of these things. Now I've had this about 2 years, I think, maybe longer. I think I've used it maybe twice. This one is ones you got to push the top down like this. There's no vent on it. What's neat about these though is they pour gasoline everywhere except where you intend to pour it. They are a horrible, horrible design. And I wondered for a while, I'm like, who in the world would make something like this? Obviously no one had ever used a gas can before. Then I did a little bit of research and I found out that these are a ventless, spill-proof, which that's a joke, gas can. And they were mandated by the EPA. And so they forced gas can manufacturers to make these things. So you had a bunch of people in Washington that probably never put gasoline in a lawnmower before tell someone how to make these. And the end result is a total piece of garbage. So if you have one, do yourself a favor, go down to the garage, get it out, put it somewhere safe, shoot a bunch of holes in it, and get rid of it, because they're useless.